Superbook, Dr. Quantum's Chalkboard Equations Meaning Theory, from Episode 1, In the Beginning. In the very first episode of Superbook, In the Beginning, we find Dr. Quantum immersed in his lab, developing a rocket suit intended for human flight. It's a futuristic, imaginative setting filled with innovation and energy. Chris, however, disobeys his father's instructions to stay out of the lab, tries on the rocket suit, and inadvertently triggers mayhem. One of the most curious features of the scene is the massive chalkboard in the background, covered with peculiar scientific symbols, DNA helix diagrams, a UFO icon, mathematical equations, a rocket blueprint, and a conspicuously circled word, pass. When the board spins chaotically after Chris stumbles into it, it seems more than just a physical reaction. It's symbolic. What follows are three in-depth theories interpreting the hidden meaning behind the chalkboard's contents and its dramatic spin. Theory 1. The fall of man, disobedience, and its fallout. This first theory sees the entire event as an allegory for the fall in the Garden of Eden. The lab, the Garden of Eden, a place of beauty, purpose, and divine order. The rocket suit, the forbidden fruit, offering power before maturity. Chris, humanity, stepping beyond boundaries set by the loving creator. As Chris puts on the rocket suit, he's essentially grasping for something he's not yet ready to wield. His choice brings disruption, not just physically in the lab, but symbolically. Equations and diagrams represent God's perfect design and logic. DNA strand, the very blueprint of life, sacred and mysterious. UFO image, false salvation, distractions, or the temptation of otherworldly shortcuts apart from the Creator. The word pass, grace after the fall. Though disobedience occurred, forgiveness remains. When the board spins, we witness the distortion of order, the loss of clarity, the ripple effect of sin. But the resolution mirrors Genesis 2. Dr. Quantum doesn't cast Chris out permanently, he disciplines, then assures him of his love, just like God did with Adam and Eve. Theory 2. Mankind's reach for power without maturity. This interpretation focuses on humanity's desire to reach divine heights without the moral and spiritual foundation to handle it. Chris puts on the suit in pursuit of power and thrill. He represents mankind's desire to become like gods through technology, science, and self-glory. The rocket suit, transhumanism, or the reach for godlike status through science. DNA diagrams, man's attempt to alter creation, perhaps referencing genetic modification. Scientific formulas, our pursuit of ultimate knowledge. UFO symbols, humanity's misplaced faith in aliens or higher beings, seeking saviors outside of God. The spinning board, the instability and confusion that comes from pride without wisdom. Pass despite our arrogance, grace is extended, not because we're worthy, but because God is merciful. In this lens, the entire episode is a warning. Power without obedience leads to collapse. Humanity, apart from God's boundaries, invites chaos. Yet even then, divine love interrupts the fall. Theory 3. A parable of the gospel, the Son, the fall, and the Father's forgiveness. This final theory sees the chalkboard as a visual parable of the gospel. Chris, the prodigal son. Rocket suit, the gifts of life and freedom misused. Board spinning, the world groaning from sin and confusion. Dr. Quantum, a picture of God the Father firm, just but full of love. Chris's disobedience causes disorder, but it ends with forgiveness and correction. That's the gospel in action. Even when we sin, the Father receives us, disciplines us in love, and reminds us of who we are. The chalkboard illustrates the fallout of sin, but anchors the viewer in hope. In the center of the chaos, one word shines through, pass, as if stamped by divine grace. Final reflection, the spinning board. This final section is presented in spoken word format, perfect for narration in a read-aloud video. This is more than a chalkboard. This is the fall of man. Chris disobeyed. He stepped where he shouldn't. He touched what wasn't his. And the board spun. Equations, DNA, rocket flight, all spinning. Knowledge turned confusion. Purpose turned blur. Order became chaos. Just like Eden. One sin and the world started spinning. And yet, the Father did not abandon him. He corrected him, disciplined him, but loved him still. He didn't erase the board. He didn't throw out the child. He reminded him of who he was. Look again. In the middle of the blur, one word remains circled. Still legible. Still true. Pass. Not because he earned it. Not because he deserved it. But because love covers and mercy remembers. Even when the chalkboard spins, the Father's grace stands still.